First of all, let me quickly introduce the session. What we want to talk about today is technology in retail. Now, our panelists are extremely distinguished in these topics. They have been very close to technology in retail across different types of retail. So we have from marketplace to physical stores to IKEA, which is fundamentally different than what Selfridges offers, which is luxury retail. So we're going to have a fun and diverse conversation today. I want to introduce and frame the discussion for today, first of all. There are 4 topics or themes that we will address. First, we will start by looking at how technology and digital is transforming the customer experience in store. The old brick and mortar way of buying things in retail. Then we will get into e-commerce and how that has changed and what is happening and what the trends are taking place there. Now, once we've looked at those 2, I want to then explore behind the scenes. That candidly is sometimes the hard part. How technology plays a role behind the scenes to make and deliver a seamless experience for the customers. And last but not the least, we will also, time permitting, explore the new frontier. We will talk about Web3 and we'll talk about Metaverse. So a lot to talk about. Without further ado, let's get started. Now, Ian, I'm going to start with you on the first topic. Now, when we spoke last, you nicely described Selfridges as having gone through a transformation and going through a transformation from being a retailer into a tech company. So you have seen the evolution of experience in store. Now, I want you to comment a bit around your take on this evolution from in-store cash registers to self-scanning to now Amazon-like pay and go or scan and go. And where do you see the biggest value drivers of tech in this whole transformation?
Yeah, hello. Great question. Well, firstly, I think just about any retailer these days that doesn't consider themselves a tech company is kind of worryingly not in touch with what they need to be doing. I mean, tech is at the center of everything that drives our business now. So historically, we've been 2 very separate businesses. We've had a retail arm of the business and a digital arm of the business. And up until recently, those 2 sides of the business were realistically competing against each other for customers. So what we've done, and not just with technologies, but with some organizational change as well, is we've really merged together based around the customer, because our customers don't care whether they're shopping with us online or in one of our 4 stores. They just want the same seamless experience. So later this year, with the launch of our new digital commerce platform, alongside the launch of a new POS platform that we're rolling out in store, we're really going to be taking the first steps into a true omnichannel world that allow us to make the best of the technology platforms that we've delivered and join up the customer experience across both channels, allowing customers to start their journey online, even add items to the basket, go into store, continue shopping, buy some stuff in store, and even check out with their online items at the till. So we've also, you mentioned the Amazon Go scenario as well. I mean, that's the benchmark that everyone looks to and compares, and that's a model that works very well for groceries, high volume, low value transactions. Not so well with kind of low volume, high value transactions. And the model that we're looking towards in Selfridges is more in tune with the mobile POS solution on an iPad that you might get from an Apple store. I mean, if customers are coming in to buy luxury products from us, we want to ensure that we're engaging with them and we're providing the help and the assistance that they want and allowing them to check out with a colleague on a mobile iPad. So rather than allow them an experience where they perhaps wouldn't interact with us, we like to offer the services to increase the experience of the luxury fashion retail.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Now, Paolo, maybe from your perspective, anything to add? Like when you think about the experience you're delivering to customers in the IKEA stores, right? Where are you seeing the biggest drivers of value creation in this transformation?
Thank you, great question. First, to take a step back, I've had the privilege to join IKEA where we didn't have e-commerce. So we were just a brick and mortar cash and carry business, right? And I saw the visits to IKEA.com growing beyond the visits to stores, which was kind of a meaningful moment, right? What does that mean? So I've had also the privilege to see that and to be driver in the omnichannel transformation of IKEA, where the stores now we live together with the online experience by our customers, and that have far surpassed the visits to store. So what does that mean? Big questions have been like, do we need stores? Everybody has asked this question. Imagine the founder. I met the founder and the family, and they were pushing back a little bit, to be honest, reluctant. Should we, now that we are so successful with stores, should we now allow our customers to visit us only online, and will that kill the stores? The reality is no. The reality is stores are there. Stores are important. In fact, visitation to stores has grown, has kept growing. However, the role of the store, we have to change the role of the store. We have to reinvent the stores, and we are in that journey to have a different experience, to have to utilize the technology in order to make it seamless, make it smoother, right? The experience. So things like Amazon Go or whatever device, whatever solution that can help removing friction and let customers enjoy the experience, enjoy the entertainment perhaps of being in an IKEA store is welcome, and it has value. It has value because the customers will reward us. I can add a lot of details, but let me stop here perhaps.
Maybe one detail that could be insightful is a couple examples of how technology has been used in your stores.
Sure, absolutely. So an example can be the personalization, so the ability to understand which customers are there, where are they, what are they interested in, and to tailor our way of shopping, our staffing plans and so on, to serve them better. And because it's a complex operation, we have a lot of solutions in the back end of the store that is not visible perhaps, but is driving our complex logistics in a way that we can make our products more available. There are other technologies like augmented reality, which is not really necessarily only happening in the stores, but it is also allowing people to visualize products at home so that they can plan and experience better before coming to the store. And when they come to the store, they are more informed, they are more aware, and they do the rest of the process there if they wish so.
Excellent. Now I asked you about physical stores, and you both couldn't resist talking about online. Clearly, that's how important e-commerce and online shopping is. Now, I want to get to Lina. She's already getting prepared for that. She knows the questions coming to her. Now, look, Paolo talked about online and offline. Lina, I want to talk to you about in online world. You have now marketplaces, obviously, right? Amazon and many others, right? Mum's World is a great example. And then you have brands.com. From your perspective, while we are setting the scene for our audience, how do you compare the two? Where's the value of a marketplace versus the value of brands.com, and how complex is the technology in the two?
I think one of the biggest issues as we move to e-commerce is brands are losing their identity, and a lot of brands are being reduced to a price war. And one of the things that we do, and we're very keen at Mum's World, is that we are keen to help brands build value and retain their brand, because there is so much IP, there's so much work that's put behind new young brands that are bringing the latest in solutions that the consumer is very hungry for. To then be reduced to just a number, it's 10 and then you slash it to 9, that's an awful positioning. So a lot of brands have resorted to going D2C, and D2C is actually now being adopted by a lot of FMCGs. Today we had Unilever's head of e-commerce, and she was saying for some brands they're going direct to consumer, they're doing pop-ups because they really need to retain that value, they need to control the experience. So we really understand and believe that using technology to deliver a seamless brand experience end to end, so even when you get the box, you feel the brand through. You don't want to get a box with your detergent and that really cool workout outfit. That really cool workout outfit has a story. There's a lot of R&D that went into it, and it should arrive to you with that journey. So how does IKEA deliver the store journey? How does Selfridges deliver that wonderful store journey in their box? They can't do that in a marketplace. It's very hard. And one of the things we do at Mumsworld is really try to enable a brand value to be retained through the way we deliver, in the way we train our customer care. You know, when you pick up the phone, you're not just calling the e-commerce site to say, where is my box? Although that's the number one question. You have a question like, if I buy this brand versus that, I need some insight into this brand. And unfortunately, if you don't own the experience and you don't own the D2C, the direct to consumer, a lot of the value and the R&D you've put in gets lost in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good insight. Now, when you talk about experience, obviously, you have now a place for the online world shopping, and then there's a place for physical shopping, and obviously consumers want to do both, right? And that's why omnichannel is so important. And you started talking about this, Ian, but I want you to spend a little bit more time on talking about omnichannel, especially when it comes to things like luxury. I mean, what does omnichannel mean for a luxury retailer? Is there a place for omni in luxury?
Well, it's very, very interesting, and it comes back to Lena's point as well about how we as Selfridges differentiate ourselves. I mean, Selfridges, we don't have our own clothing label or our own clothing brand. We sell other people's luxury brands. But why do people come to Selfridges rather than going directly to Prada or Gucci? Well, people come for the experience, and it's the same online as it is in store. So you mentioned D2C. We obviously have many suppliers. We try to at all costs avoid our suppliers or using suppliers that do a D2C method, because we lose track of the customer experience. So for us, the most important thing, the most valuable thing is the customer experience. Therefore, if customers are coming to us to buy a product, whatever that product is, whichever brand that is, we want to then wrap that product with the luxury Selfridges experience on top of the product experience as well. But for us, it's all about the customer service. And how do you replicate that great experience that you get in one of our stores online? Well, that's a question that we've struggled with and been trying to grapple with for the last few years. And we've gone through several iterations and trying to build an incredibly flashy website with all sorts of luxury experience in it to replicate a luxury experience online. However, what we've learned over the last few years is customers really don't want that. Our digital customers want the same thing as digital customers from just about any other brand. They want the basics of digital commerce. They want a highly performant and responsive website, sub 3 seconds load time, great product availability, great delivery options, and incredible customer service and returns. What we do with the website is then use it as an anchor or a lever to pull customers into our store, offering experiences, offering click and collect. I mentioned earlier that we've merged the two businesses, the retail business and the .com business. Previously, they competed against each other, and as .com sales were growing, retail sales would flatline or perhaps decline. But we made a relatively minor change a year or so ago that if customers buy from us online but choose to click and collect in store, that sale is then attributed as a retail sale rather than a .com sale. All of a sudden, that very simple change of accounting has really helped both parts of the business work together, because then our retail stores now see .com as a bit of a wide fisherman's net, really, casting the net very wide to customers and bringing them into store, who typically then go on to buy more products when they're in store. So it's about using both of the assets that we've got to provide the best customer experience.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Now, obviously, experience is super important. It's number one. It's fundamental. But to deliver the experience, technology plays a huge role. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts of what this session is about. And maybe, Lena, if I may ask you, look, at Mumsworld, you have really done a fantastic job over the last decade to build a sector leader. Yeah, and obviously the customers are raving about Mumsworld. Now, when I spoke to you, it seemed like tech is playing a very important role in this whole transformation. Now, I want to get behind the scenes of the context we've just laid out. Can you maybe describe for the audience your journey with Mumsworld so far, and how tech and digital have played a role along that journey?
So we launched Mom's World with a keen focus on the consumer, on a very specific consumer, and that's the new mother. Really, when we launched, we weren't doing motherhood end to end. We were saying we were going to really give that new mother everything she needs to get through the anxiety of that journey. It's a very difficult journey. There's a lot of challenges and a very steep learning curve. And at the time when we looked at our consumer, we said the number one issue she's having today in the region is assortment, access to product. So the region had a very, very narrow selection at extremely inflated prices because the retail space was limited, and therefore the retailers was limited by the space they had. Therefore, they weren't able to deliver the solution the mother wanted. And technology was able to help us deliver the widest assortment to that consumer group. So we launched Moms with 70,000 products. We couldn't have done that through brick and mortar. There's no other way. You had to utilize technology. You had to optimize the search. You had to optimize the online experience. So the mom's discovery journey, and it is an absolute discovery journey because none of the things she's about to buy has she ever used before in her entire life, has to be seamless, has to be easy, and has to be really a very smooth learning curve. So using technology and like optimizing every aspect of that discovery was very important to us at launch.
So what kinds of technology have you been using now to optimize search or to help with discovery? And so what are some of the latest technology trends that you are leveraging at Mom's World?
So just predictive technology, and just actually search in itself is a whole kind of rabbit hole. Just how do you search? How do you you basically put the right manpower and the right know-how behind that engine, because it's not only about selecting the right technology, but actually putting the right brains and freeing them up from doing the manual work to focus on solving the customer experience and paying attention to the customer. Because you could end up with a technology that somehow is not fully utilized or underutilized, and you run a parallel manual process, and that's a failure of anything you can do. So really making sure that you have the smart brains behind it, doing the right job, which is focusing on the consumer and using the technology so they're not doing the kind of the low end jobs of the same solution.
Great. Maybe Paolo, what is the coolest technology you're using at IKEA?
It's not Meta,
Not Meta.
but maybe it's before Meta. And I would go back to augmented and virtual reality because we have invested a lot of effort and knowledge and experience here. There we have really one of the best teams working on this, and we are also partnering with companies. So or doing acquisitions. So for example, after our first generation of augmented reality solutions that allow you to display your the IKEA products in your room sets. We acquired a company called Geomagical Labs, and they would do actually interior design for you. So scanning the room, you can scan the room with a mobile phone or any tablet, any mobile device, and based on your preferences or your parameters that the system will know about you, it can suggest set layouts and furniture you can buy, including the ability to remove furniture, which is one of the most difficult things for augmented reality. It's easier to add things to an environment than to remove a sofa from there and replace it with something else. So that's perhaps one example that I would like to share. But maybe one comment also is that I guess everybody here, no matter if you work in retail or any company, you are doing a digital transformation, right? So if we are doing all the same things, we go to the same conferences, we read the same articles and so on, where is the difference coming from? Are we going to end up having all the same things? Is it only a matter of money or who can buy the coolest thing? I don't think so. So we called our digital transformation the IKEA way, because our thinking process has to be, how do we redesign IKEA in this world that is digital? That's a given, right? What if our founder was born today, right? Would he invent IKEA brick and mortar? Certainly not, right? So he was a very smart person. He has invented IKEA with the resources that were available at that time. Now the resources are different. There is digital, and we have to reinvent ourselves in this world. This is the biggest challenge, especially when you are moving from a previous business model to a new business model. You have to kind of unlearn something and relearn. That's the additional challenge, perhaps, to a native digital marketplace or company in general.
Excellent. I tend to agree with you. Now, on your first part about the cool technology, I actually do think that's really cool, and a good way to start entering into the metaverse-like environments, right? I mean, deleting furniture. I mean, who needs to go to the store anymore? Unless, of course, you're buying luxury stuff. Talking of luxury, Selfridges transformation. We talked about from a business point of view. I want you to get a little bit under the hood and talk about the technology that has supported you along the way, and what has been the Selfridges way, for digital transformation.
Okay, so interesting you mentioned AR. We've also dipped our toe in the augmented reality water. We trialed something with a company called iCandy last year to have an augmented reality display of some of our luxury products. At the moment, it's just on handbags, as rather expensive handbags, so people can see how the handbag might look on their sofa or their table at home. However, we're looking to see how we could extend that so for people to really see via augmented reality what some of our luxury fashion products may look like on them. But that's something we're working on at the moment. In terms of other technology that are powering and enable the transformation, well, I mean, when you say the word transformation, it's kind of like the word project or program. It's like there's a start and an end date. There's no end to this. It's not. We're not going to get to a point in 22 or 23 or 24 and say, yeah, we're done now. We've completed our digital transformation. It's an ongoing, iterative process that we're powering by changing the way we work, bringing in the right people, bringing in tech people, becoming a tech-focused company, allowing us to innovate quickly, learn fast, but also fail fast, as well as looking at how we innovate in the digital space with augmented reality, i.e. looking at how we bring physical products into the virtual world. We've also flipped that on its head as well. As of last month, you can now go into our physical store in Oxford Street and buy NFTs. You can buy virtual artwork over the counter in our store. So as well as selling real goods online, we are selling virtual goods in store. So we're constantly looking about how we flip things on its head and how we use technology to innovate and really improve the customer experience.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned. I was going to actually ask you this. I saw an article about Selfridges getting to NFT. Do you think this is a fad, or is there really a role to play for retailers to get into the metaverse and Web 3.0 and sell NFTs? I mean, is this a role to play for retailers?
I think there is. I mean, certainly in the luxury space, that we'll all be familiar with the use case that many people have called out today of the virtual Gucci handbag selling for a huge amount of money, and we're trialing similar activity with some of our providers, some of our luxury fashion brands. So, for example, with Paco Rabanne, if you buy items of fashion, items of clothing from Paco Rabanne, you also have the option to buy the virtual or the NFT version for use in the metaverse. So not only are you going to be kitted out and dressed in the best high quality luxury fashion in real life, but you also buy the corresponding virtual fashion to be looking good in the metaverse as well. I mean, what will come of it at the moment? I think from a retail perspective, we don't really know, but from a tech perspective, we just love getting involved in this technology early and trialing it, seeing what our customers want, and if it takes off, then I think we'll offer more of this. If it doesn't, then it's another opportunity to learn and move on.
Excellent. Now, we talked about digital transformation or ongoing digital transformations earlier, and one undeniable fact is data and analytics is extremely important in the process. Now, maybe Paolo and maybe Lina, if you could also chime in. Maybe Paolo, starting with you, what role has data and analytics played in IKEA's digital transformation?
Yeah, major role, and definitely all the trends that you have heard. Big data, and any kind of analytics, smart, predictive, artificial intelligence, all of that it is something that we are playing with. And of course, the key is to find the use cases, the real value from that, so that you don't get lost into just trying so many things without becoming concrete for the customer. And so that's one thing very important, starting with the customer and coming back to what can we use, how can we use the data for their benefit. And this has also an aspect which we call data ethics. For us is fundamental, because we believe that sooner or later, if you are not using the data ethically, it will backfire. And it's a trust matter. People, consumers, customers need to trust and associate the way they know you use their data that belongs to them for their benefit. Otherwise, why should they share? And now they are allowed not to share. So this has changed the perspective, and it makes us also, it reminds us that often with change, we think too binary. We think either convenience or privacy, or either digital or physical. And this is a typical trap that we face in change. Right? There is no either or, it's and. You can be ethical and make business value, create business value by providing the customers better services, personalized products, personalized pricing, promotions, and so on, without violating or while respecting the privacy. Yeah, and I think this is a typical trap, to think of store or online. This binary mindset has to, we have to let it go and focus on the real customer that has many needs, many aspects, many important factors to make the experience work.
Yeah, I think one of the, just drawing out the point, is it's offline or online, and they're kind of parallel universes. It's really key to say who's the customer. So who is Selfridges trying to serve? Who's IKEA trying to serve? And not to say how do we execute it? How do we measure our execution? Because you could get lost, with BI and using BI to measure your execution, because it's all about how much work you put in. But you have to say, no, what is the customer reaction? So actually choosing the right metric that says, am I really measuring customer reaction, or am I measuring my performance? And if you're measuring your performance, then you would measure online and offline, because that's an operational view. But if you're saying, okay, I want to know how relevant I am to the consumer, you would never measure them separate. You would just measure, the interaction of the consumer with the product. How big is the basket? How often are they coming back? And it doesn't matter to you where they come back, as long as they're coming back on multiple platforms and you're optimizing it. And this is where at Mum's World, we're very focused on that consumer. And during COVID, when there was a kind of a crazy time, the first 6 months, the profile of our consumer changed, because everybody was buying any product they could find anywhere. And we were lucky that we had the products they wanted. It meant that for 6 months, we weren't serving the new mom. And there was a huge issue internally for us, because she is our consumer. And the minute we stop serving her, and the minute she stops coming or becomes a minority group, then we're not doing our job. So it doesn't matter if we're delivering on time, if we fulfill 99%, if our search is on the mark, so what? We haven't delivered the solution to the consumer we set out to work for. So the data was all right, we're buying right, we're delivering right as per BI, but we weren't serving the cohort we were after.
Okay. And how advanced, data technologies and analytics do you need to use to get that kind of insights?
Well, we are able to say the age group of the children of the people buying on our website without them entering the data. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, I want to talk about more than, so obviously technology is super important, but when you think about change management, it's more than taking technology, buying technology, and deploying technology, right? And oftentimes, and as BCG also we see this, our clients when they want to do a digital transformation, first they start with technology and think about what technology they need, and then try to put the rest together, right? In our view, that's not the right approach, but I would love to hear from you. What do you think around that? And how do you, Lena, bring all your colleagues in merchandising, marketing, and so on along the journey?
So I think when you set out, again, it's about execution. If you set out and say, I'm going to digitally transform, you're not talking about the customer. You're like, I'm going to do this operationally.
Yeah.
But you're not relevant if you're not relevant to your consumer. So you have to start from scratch and say, what's the problem IKEA is solving for? And what technology is going to deliver that solution? So the minute you start the problem with I'm going to digitally transform, you've lost, I think, the battle. Yeah, it's quite hard because I think I hear it a lot. We never say we're going to digitally transform because I guess we think we're already on the journey, but we keep on measuring the optimization of technology we have in the organization. We're always looking for new ways of doing things, looking for technology to make us more efficient. But the utilization and how our team are using it is a big measure of the success and whether or not that really touched the customer. So,
Excellent. Very good. Now, I want to talk about the role of third parties and partners and the broader ecosystem. You can't do it all yourself. Of course, you have the vendors, right? But there is, in this hyper-connected world, there is something to be said about creating the ecosystem, right? So maybe, I don't know, Paolo, do you want to share your perspective on how do you think about M&A and partnerships and ecosystems?
Absolutely. Interestingly, the first digital transformation workshop I hosted at IKEA, involving many of the stakeholders, was about finding what are the key themes looking forward. It was called a future search. And the top two themes that came about were new business models and ecosystems and partnerships. That you can argue nothing to do with digital transformation, right? And that's really building on also Lena's point. This is really a very insightful conclusion. So, under ecosystems and partnerships, we have realized that we need to open up. We come from a model where we did everything inside, developing the products, manufacturing the products, the whole supply, value chain, and everything, the store and so on. Now we are seeing that most successful businesses are ecosystems. They basically live in marketplaces. Yeah, so you need to be open, because in an ecosystem, again, it's not binary anymore, right? It's not us against the competition; it's a competition, right? You actually sometimes you compete with your partners. You need also to complement your system with something that others have strengths about. We partner with a company called TaskRabbit, for example, that do the tasks that we don't do. For example, plumbing, carpentry, plastering. So when that removes a barrier for customers to go and buy a kitchen and say, well, but can you move my pipes, my water pipes? No, we can't, and they go somewhere else. So by partnering with a company that is complementary to you, you actually increase your relevance to the customer, and we have many examples of this partnerships or acquisitions that are expanding and changing, transforming our business model.
Does either of you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I mean, the partnerships certainly in the tech space have been absolutely crucial for us at Selfridges over the last 18 months. It's tough. It's tough globally to attract the right tech talent to ensure that you can deliver the right solutions for the customer. We're never going to be able to achieve that ourselves. So we've partnered with a couple of great nearshore tech providers. So we look at it as they augment our teams. We don't outsource or offshore any of our development. All of our product development and engineering teams are augmented teams and blended teams from our partners and ourselves. And without that, we wouldn't have been able to take the big strides through delivering some of the key technical programs that we have done. They bring a fresh bit of knowledge into us and a fresh insight as to how things could be done better. Sometimes when you've worked in one organization for too long, you can become snowblind or you have blinkers on and you don't think about different ways of working. And I think working with tech vendors and certainly many different tech partners, it allows us to think differently, allows us to get new ideas from what the market's doing.
Okay, super. I'm conscious of time. We probably have 2 minutes left. I want to make this a bit tangible for our audience. So one question for all of you. What are the top, and try to be as punchy as possible because they'll be making notes. I see people are getting their notepads out. What are the top 3 lessons that you want our audience to take away from your learnings of digital transformations in your last 10, 15 years in this industry? All of you, starting with Lena. Rapid fire.
So I think speed to market and customer focus.
Speed to market, customer focus.
Can I underline customer focus or customer centricity from there? And I would say this: think open, not binary, not us against, but think
ecosystem. Think open, think broader.
Open up your business model.
Yeah, they say customer focused is the key one for me. But also don't try and boil the ocean. Don't bite off too much initially. Pick out. Make sure you get some quick wins to get buy-in from other areas of the companies to show the success. And hire the right team. Bring in the right team to go along with the journey. You're never going to succeed alone on this. So you've got to bring in the right team and collaborate across the business.
Excellent. So I personally found that extremely insightful. It's great to learn from experience. It's also great to see that when we talk about digital, when we talk about technology, it is not about the technology itself. It's how do you bring that technology to use it to deliver the customer experience. Think customers first, think open, think partnerships, think your organization, right? And and the technology follows. Thank you so much, Lena. Thank you so much, Paolo. Thank you so much, Ian. And thank you all for attending.